I don't think I have to tell you that Christmas is not the most wonderful time of the year for absolutely everybody, and not just in 2020. It can be hard any year, and it is for so many, and one of the many reasons it's hard for so many is because of regrets that they carry around. Holidays are supposed to be kind of perfect. That's often our expectation, or at least close to it. They're supposed to be happy and full of togetherness, and relationships are supposed to be good, and everybody's supposed to be loving and kind and patient, and nothing getting in the way of all those things, but that doesn't always happen. It can kind of hurt during the holidays when it doesn't happen. And especially if something was done in the past that caused things to be difficult in the present, the person who did those things can live with a lot of regret because it's their fault that things aren't good in the present. And then even if nothing bad was done in the past, but there's someone special that you used to be able to celebrate every holiday with who isn't here anymore, you can have regrets there too. Things you didn't get to say before they were gone. Things you didn't get to do. It can fill you with a lot of regret, heavy regret. And I think Moses was alluding to those regrets at the end of Deuteronomy chapter 1 as he's helping the Israelites remember some important lessons from the past. Because he starts talking about the Israelites, the adults, their relationship with their children, and brings up a lot of things that would have filled their hearts with a lot of regret. He says, basically, do you remember that day when the Lord told you that you would not be entering the promised land, but your children would? And how did you react? You said, there's no way our children are going to make it for 4 decades in the wilderness. There's no way God could do that. Again, they didn't trust. And it seems that lack of trust had an impact on how they raised their children, because Moses also says about the children, he says, even now as they're about to enter the promised land, they don't know right from wrong. And not because they were too young, but because it seems their parents hadn't taught them. Their lack of trust had an impact on their parenting. And now the children were going to go into the promised land and the parents were not, which means they weren't going to be there with their children for any holiday that was upcoming. And how do you think they would have felt being reminded of all those things, seeing the Lord lead them successfully to the promised land, but knowing that they failed to teach their children everything that they would need to know about him? I bet they were filled with a lot of regret. And if you are too, for any reason, open up to Psalm 95 at some point, sometime soon. Psalm 95 refers to this whole situation that kept the Israelites out of the promised land, where it says, it wants whoever's reading that psalm to learn the lessons that were learned there that day, that we can trust the Lord. But there's a neat phrase that comes up in Psalm 95 where it says, we are the flock of God's pasture. We are the sheep under his care. And who's that verse talking about? Well, for one, it was talking about the children that were going to go into the promised land. The parents' regrets were not going to stop God from caring for them like a good shepherd. But it was also talking about the people who carry regrets. The fact that we have regrets does not mean we do not have a good shepherd who cares for us, who takes responsibility for putting us under his care. Remember, that's the promise that he kept at the cross, where the good shepherd had every opportunity to run away from his weak sheep, but he didn't. He showed us just how determined our shepherd really is to shepherd his flock into eternity. Determined enough that he's willing to forgive every regretful thing we've ever done. And he already did. Which means God holds nothing against you. God holds nothing against you. And if God holds nothing against you, you don't have to either. You don't have to either. You can rest well tonight, my friends, because God will continue to shepherd you. You are the flock that will always be under his care.